Welcome to ReRoll, your SideQuest Bloodbowl week in review. The curse of chaos continued for the Chaos Dwarves this week, as they once again attempted to prove that armour 8 and 9 is equivalent to a Snotling's attempt at paper mache. The lizards decided to abuse this fact by knocking them down, again, and again, and again. The earlier injuries were just too much for the dwarves to recover from, and with the lizards breaking the line, stealing the ball, and scoring, again, and again, and again. The Chaos Dwarves, thought favourites in the pre-season, have continued to fall further and further away from the top spot Khemri, who they are due to face next week. And the curse continues to spread, as not only did the Chaos still suffer from their spout of double skulls, wands and failed blitzes, but so too did the Dwarves this week. A typically bashy game from both sides, with blocks and failures from both teams, but an eventual score for the receiving Dwarves. Miraculously, and to both the delight and disappointment of the Chaos fans, no injuries were taken on either side in the first half. In the second half, play continued with the Chaos quickly scoring on turn 13. However, with a deep kick, blitz, some pressure, and an unfortunate one-die block, the Chaos were afforded an opportunity that even their luck couldn't screw them out of, leading to their first win of the season. Some say that the Chaos luck has lifted, but analysts have shown that passing on worse luck to somebody else does not in turn make yourself lucky. Blood Bowl is a game of chance, where anything can happen. No more was this more apparent than when the undefeated Khemri took on the always defeated Goblins in this Week 4 game, where everyone assumed it was an automatic Khemri win. Tombs and Wounds received first, and spared no time in caging themselves with the Goblins' left-hand defence. However, an unfortunate doubled failed GFI resulted in a loose ball. A loose ball that the Goblins were more than happy to steal and run away with, and a little scrap occurred in the middle of the pitch, but eventually the Goblins scurried away with the ball, and after a number of successful GFIs, scored an unexpected touchdown during the Khemri's receive. In the second half, the Goblins made their way through their own half with the ball, but the aggressive Khemri were determined to blitz down the ball carrier. Unfortunately, it appears even 3 die aren't enough to knock down these slippery buggers. However, the ball was eventually knocked loose, and the Khemri had a chance to do a counter touchdown of their own. There was a terrible blunder from the Khemri coach.
I didn't see that.
Gave the Goblins the opening to deny a score and even steal the ball back themselves, outpacing the already committed Khemri and scoring a second touchdown. Not only claiming their first points of the season, but also knocking Khemri off their unbeaten streak, making the top of the table that much more interesting. After last week's beating from the Dwarves, the Bretonnians were looking for a recovery match, so you can imagine their reaction when they found out the mighty blow-ridden Ogres were their next opponents. Regardless, the Nathlone Agency managed to find some unwilling volunteers to join the Bretonnian team, and they started off with 4 peasant journeymen, one of whom didn't see beyond the first turn. Despite this, the Bretonnians pushed on with an aggressive attack down the left field, looking to utilise their speed, and they vitally surfed a break tackle Ogre, who remained knocked out for the entire game. The Ogres resorted to using their smaller teammates as ammunition, but to little success, and the Bretonnians eventually broke through to score in turn 4. With 4 turns remaining, the Ogres looked to show off their now famous passing game, which unfortunately backfired. This fumble allowed the Bretonnians to steal the ball and secure an unexpected 2-touchdown lead, though they took a beating in the process. In the second half, with only 7 players in the setup and their cannon fodder folding quicker than a 7-2 poker hand, there was a real danger for a comeback. Clearly though, Nuffle had decided to stop his favour of the Ogres in this match, as a blitz from the Bretonnians followed by a number of boneheads gave the Silver Palms a 3rd touchdown, from which the Ogres had no hope of recovering from. From a 3-0 loss to a 3-0 win, the Bretonnians have had a rollercoaster 2 weeks, whilst the Ogres will no doubt still be annoyed at being dropped out of the top 6. Lawyers are circling around the Orcs and Dwarves game this week, as accusations from a local pro-elf team have come in, suggesting that in a Space Jam style twist, Big's Lickers have drained the Elfheim Sunriders team of all their dodging ability. Even with an unusual amount of dodging, the Dwarves couldn't quite secure the touchdown in their half. After being held up for 6 turns resulted in a desperate run up the field and an unfortunate failed dodge, from which the Orcs stole the ball and stalled out the half. During the Orcs receive, a game of hot potato ensued as the ball swapped possession turn after turn after turn, with key blitzes from both sides. Whilst as a whole the game was a traditionally bashy one, it was the Dwarves who said enough was enough and pulled off this elf nonsense.
gets the dodge, picks up the ball, runs downfield, gets the touchdown. What is happening?
What is this game?
Marv, what is going on?
To score the only touchdown of the game, despite an attempted flying goblin shortly after. The final game this week is not one to be missed. The Kislev, who have only earned a single point so far, faced off against the Underworld, the surprise dark horse of the league, on 7 points without a defeat and who have consistently been in the top 4. The game began with an Underworld receive and, as usual, they were quick to dart up the field, punching and dodging their way through the Kislev lines. The blitzing attempts made by the Barbarians just weren't enough to stop the Raditz Rodents, and they comfortably scored in turn 4. The Kislev were keen to get their return touchdown and after an initial break down the right hand side, went for an ambitious pass. However, an Underworld Goblin read the Kislev beautifully, and with one heck of a leap, intercepted the ball.
Fuck me!
Now, with a surprise turnover, the Underworld saw their opportunity. Poking a nearby troll, the Goblin demanded to be sent soaring in a true blaze of glory. Unfortunately for him, instead of dining on the tears of the Kislev, the troll decided to dine on this poor little gobbo. He fortunately survived, but the ball was dropped. A counter-offensive began, with the Kislev attempting to redeem themselves by not only recovering the ball, but by doubling up on the odds with an even more impressive pass than before. Except this one worked, and there was nothing the Underworld could do to stop it. With only one turn left of the first half, a sudden blitz made a one-turn touchdown seem possible for the Kislev, who pounced on the opportunity. However, the Underworld had the last laugh as they recovered the ball from a touchback and this time made sure the troll did what he was told. And, as we've been waiting for all season, a Goblin majestically plummeted into the Kislev's half and dashed for a second touchdown, snatching a 2-1 Underworld lead at half-time. In the second half, the Kislev had a lot to do in this already high-scoring game. Time was of the essence, and so they did not hesitate in equalising and really piling on the pressure. The Raditz Rodents had 6 turns to score, but the pressure was mounting and was a bit too much for the Skaven thrower who fumbled the first pickup. Both teams pounced on the ball, with continuous blocks and blitzes on the ball carriers and possession changing every turn. The Kislev attempted a breakaway, but lost their footing on a failed leap. Once again a scrap ensued, before finally, in a last-minute desperation play, the Kislev catcher pulled off this impressive feat.
Oh my giddy, what? No. God. No, are you fair?
Yes! Motherfucking yes!
I can't be mad. I can't be mad at that.
Securing the Kislev's first win of the season and an impressive display of skill and hilarity from both sides has made this the highest scoring game of the season so far. Wow, what a topsy-turvy week we've had here. Truly showing the joys of Blood Bowl and that anything can happen. 3 of the bottom teams grabbed wins against high-placing opponents, which has thrown the league through a loop and significantly closed the gaps between the two halves of the table. Unfortunately, the pre-season favourites, the Chaos Dwarves, have fallen even further and are the only team without a win so far. The shocking underdog victory of the Goblins against the mighty Khemri has really tightened up the race for the top, with the Lizards, Dwarves and Khemri all with 3 wins and a loss, and scrambling for first place whilst the Underworld and Bretonnians lurk closely behind, and either of them could potentially jump into the top 3 should any of the top 3 lose. It's been an absolutely cracking week of games and the highest scoring week so far, with 3 teams scoring 3 touchdowns in their games. Definitely a week to check out the Vods and to keep an eye on things as they move forward. Thank you for watching, and may Nuffle bless you all.
Oh, let me take another bullet, which will definitely not happen. I promise. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Nuffle, nuffle.